crap out of me. Let me just close Minecraft for the game. Okay, now I'm ready. now, now we can play. Or now you can queue at least. Without me freaking out immediately. Let me just figure out who the frick just followed me. While I was so kindly freaking out.
It's Hans' friend.
Oh, was it Hans' friend? Kurai? Kurumu? Kurumu? That jump scared me like mentally a lot. I was I was terrified.
Defenses.
Why always defense?
Because
Wow, what a fucking reason. Because
we're cursed.
yeah, because we're cursed.
I'm gonna try some Baptiste. Because I suck at him. Wow.
Okay. What's up? Ah.
Oh, you chicken.
I am here. I live. Widow sniping 3-2. Oh god, their Hans is on the right. Why do they have so many snipers?
Oh, lovely. Fun. The Widowmaker is annoying.
Uh,
Jesus Christ, man. This is not fun. Oh my god.
I was far gone.
I hate
For
that
real.
so much. It's stun and shoot, that's all it is.
Hmm?
No, no brain.
No brain. Me neither. There's someone above us. Oh, it's the widow that's above us. The widow's literally behind us somewhere. How has no one found her yet? I'm using it as a shield, lol. Wait, they still have vision. Fuck. When does the shitty window run out of vision? How long? Okay, by now she ran out. I got their mercy. I do have ult. Damn, unlucky me. Hey, Han, come close. Oh, goodness, I missed her. Oh, you ran away from me. I thought you were gonna shield me.
God fucking damn it.
What's going on?
No, I just got targeted.
Well, you are a healer.
Yeah. But I'm not doing well healing though, which is annoying.
God damn, her nade lasts for so long. At least we got them to basically overtime on the first push. It's not bad. Oh, their Widow. Hey, if you keep them at that angle, the Widow can snipe. No! Our teammates were 10 miles away.
No, we all died because of the soldier. That is why.
Gosh, I hate it when they get stunned. Their head moves to the side.
God.
Hehe. Maybe I should Widow for the lulz. Good.
See what I mean? Just stun and shoot, stun and shoot. No other strategy.
Yeah, that's how you
Absolute
play.
brain dead.
But the problem is the stunning part and shooting part is really difficult.
They're fucking Widow. Jesus Christ.
Eek. There's one in the building to our left.
I can't heal you, Han. I'm on my way. Oh, there you go. I fucking hate this Widow. Jesus Christ.
I got there with a. Nice.
So annoying. Let me guess, did he press
He,
Q? And
yeah, he pressed Q. Yeah, he did. It's actually interesting how most of those hits never register. Wait, how did the Junkrat survive? He wasn't even in front of me.
So fucking stupid.
I got a box!
I'm so happy that fucking he got changed to Overwatch 2. Every single McCree main now is like screaming in agony.
No,
Like, no,
what?
my only strategy.
What?
I
The new
got my
McCree is so much stronger! I still don't
Yeah,
understand why
exactly.
you think people would scream about that. Every McCree main is happy. Because the grenade immediately does damage instead of just stun, because every McCree main doesn't need to stun to kill.
Yeah,
The
no,
grenade is
fucking-
useless, that's why they removed it. It's because it has no use. Except for stopping ults.
Bruh.
But it's true. Bruh, I know, Han. Bruh. How did you get OWL Lucian? I don't know. How would I know? Are we not? Okay, I was like, are we not queuing? Are you guys even gonna be happy about Overwatch 2 with only 5 people in a team? It just means there's less people to shoot, which is more annoying.
It feels odd.
Hey, who else wants to be a healer? Come on, Mora. Mora and Zenyatta, come on. Aw. We need DPS. Can you play Mora?
It's mad.
Hey, can you play Mora? Sursak, can you play Mora?
But we need tank.
No. We need Mora. We need Mora.
Oh my god. Alright then.
Perfect. Alright, if anyone dies, we suck. Yeah, let's go, full healers. Wait, we have a tank. It's me. Roadhog is the only Roadhog and Guy on the only people that can insta kill us.
Oh god, I got one shot.
Yep. It's the only people that can kill you are people that can one shot.
The problem is healers don't do damage. We don't have enough damage to kill Roadhog.
You're a DPS, my guy. Baptiste is a DPS. I'm a DPS. We have enough. Trust me.
Yeah, why does no one die?
Because they're all being healed as well. They still haven't gotten, like, it took them this long to get the point, my guy. So who has healed the most? Who has gold healing? Alright, thought so. We should probably push middle gate, actually. She used her sleep? Oh god, of course. Okay, I think we should actually play some DPS.
Oh, you don't say it. Oh.
Hmm?
What am I intended to do?
Oh, it's the laser turrets, man. It's Symmetra laser turrets.
Alright.
Hmm.
Death Among Us.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
Oh.
100%. No cap. Oh, come on. You know gamers don't look up.
Saj.
Bruh. That's not fair. They
Oh, he
actually
tried.
pay attention.
He tried to hook you and hooked me.
It's so annoying. I was like, I'll teleport above, and then they shoot me immediately, bruh. Why do people pay attention? This is not fair.
What do you mean? It's sound cues, bro. It's all the game is all sound cues.
Bruh.
Hee hee.
Why can I not ever get teammates like that, man?
I'm
To actually
sorry.
place the games.
I'm sorry.
Well, not you.
Damn, doesn't work as him.
How's your team at the moment? Alright. Let's try this.
I don't care about the monkey. Aww. Wait, do we only have one healer? No, we have Moxie, but is Moxie even around? Oh, she isn't. Okay.
Oh well.
I had a shield down.
A new follower has arrived.
Oh my goodness. Hello. Oh my god, it's Tiger. Bruh.
Man.
Thanks for subscribing.
Oh my god, and Tiger subscribed with Par Gaming. Holy shit.
Worst part is. Whatever. Doomfist just did a jump in, die fucking combo, dude.
Literally, they are just face diving us.
What is this Moira doing?
Nothing.
I hate whenever this happens.
Hands on top. Yo, who Tiger? Yeah, who Tiger though? Who be this Tiger? Oh, their Winston is low. Okay, we wiped them.
Oh my god.
Ah, it is him. It is Tiger. Tiger based. Yep. I died. Winston's on point behind you. The shield just yet? Yeah, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I saw that. I'm so sorry. I Bolton like 10. No.
Oh well, we lost.
Their Hanzo was Pog.
Fucking hell, man.
Wait, Han got the pixel spray.
This is why I can't trust other people to be healers.
Yeah, right, Han. Why is Han a healer?
No, not Han. I meant the fucking Moira.
I have mentioned that Mora is not a healer. Plenty of
She
times.
is.
No one's gonna play her like it. Aren't you gonna queue?
She's asking if we want to play No Limits.
Sure. There is no difference in No Limits and Classic.
There is.
Yeah, except for maybe 1 every 10 games, people will decide to play the same character 6 times. Like all May.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Is it the problem is just people try hard. And instead of
Oh,
actually play
it's Blizzworld. Can we not attack for once? Like, I want attack, please.
oh, too bad.
Yeah, defense go away, exactly.
Just do what everyone else does. Just think you're playing attack on defense. And spawn cap them or something like that.
Exactly. Oh wow, look at this. No Limits is great with everybody playing Hanzo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best character to play with no limits. Problem here is I don't know how to aim.
Oh my god, now we're all diva, really? We are all playing the streamer character.
What, bro?
And that's just a run back to swap.
Fuck yeah, I'll play a bit of Hanzo.
I'm going on a little trip. I'm going through Disney World. Oh my god, it's Duskwood from World of Warcraft.
Damn it, I have a Pharah. fucking. That was a bit high.
I'm being chased on point. Do we not have a healer? I thought we did.
We had a Moira.
Oh. Oh god, they have a Bastion.
I hate Pharah so much.
Up there, McCree's one. He was 1 HP and I hit him so many times. McCree's still one.
They have a Bastion now.
How did you miss your ult?
How tryhard are these people?
Okay.
Fuck you!
Han and me, we can double ult and then we can literally take half of them or all of the map. We just need to determine where who ults. I'm ulting on point. Wait, that doesn't kill? Well, now Han can ult on point because they don't have bubble or shield.
I'm telling you, these people are brain dead. Jesus Christ, their whole plan is to just walk up to you and fucking stun you.
I'm shielding you. Yeah, but not for that long. If you're gonna stay close to me, that's your fault.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so the idea of no limits was a great idea. Wait, if you say that... Wait, how do you get to the voice line, we need a healer?
I think it's I need healing, but if you don't have any
Mm.
healer, then it just says we need a healer.
No, because I just used it to test that theory.
Well, that's because I changed the healer.
No, no, no. That was before you changed to healer. I tested it.
Whoops.
I really badly just wanted to swing her.
See? I'm a mile away from it and it still tried to stun me. Oh my god.
Well, yeah. What else are we supposed to do? Why do you get longer range?
Well,
And why am I the only one on point?
Only healer is fucking run away then. Go away then. Go back to spawn then. Go back to spawn, you fucking piece of shit.
Okay, here you go. I'm at spawn.
No, not you, this fucking diva who's just spamming I need healing while fucking running away from me.
Dumbass!
Yeah, just leave the healer alone with all the other DPS. That's a good idea.
Oh my
I
god,
can't do anything about that.
Yeah, that's fine. Bastion was in the stupid room, and I wanted to ult.
You have Sombra now as well. How am I supposed to heal everyone when everyone's so damn separated?
Oh yeah, wait, Reinhardt can cancel in the next version, right?
Yes.
Aww.
Back up, guys.
Almost.
These people.
Hey, look, we're winning. They have a Pharah now, imagine. Wait, was it a Pharah? No, that was the Widow going close. I really badly just want to ult, but all I do is die in 2 seconds.
This fucking. Oh, great. No, fuck you. Yeah, snipe me, you piece of shit.
I'm just gonna sit on point. Can we skip? Thank you. And can we not do no limit? That was the most useless game mode in the whole game. Is Miles? Oh no, Miles has work, right? He's doing his. No, he's not doing dress up today, right?
No.
No Disney dress up, sadly. Till 3. Us. Oh, that's like 2 more hours. Yeah, that's why I said 2 more hours. I know what time it is, Han. Okay. Hmm. Oh, I have dinner. Fuck. At 6 today and at fucking 6 tomorrow as well. Oh, Jesus. Why do I have so many dinners with people? Is anyone here doing anything interesting today?
What do you mean?
Anything?
Oh.
Dates? If it was a date, I wouldn't tell you because you'd get jealous.
Alright, what to do?
Bet. The fuck did your character say? I will snipe people today. Gosh, Torbjorn is camping.
Gotta regroup. They don't have any tanks.
Don't kill me, proceeds to kill. Who is the guy that said he was shit? The Torbjorn? Alright, I will go around and kill him for fun. Dumbass.
Oh, lovely.
My orb was on you.
Oh, lovely.
Did he just kill himself?
No, but I did.
Get just one.
Oh, lovely.
Jesus.
What? That's bullshit.
I got their mercy.
I hooked their mercy, but the game just said no.
I killed her, so it's fine.
It's just no. If she dashes, you're not allowed to fucking hook her. Okay, bruh. The finally, the Widowmaker actually wanted to be useful for once.
If you're telling me that she's a Sombra, then watch her die in 2 seconds.
Probably.
No jokes. Why did you hit him? God. My guy can't even aim and has to press right click. Lol.
don't care anymore.
Oh, if he didn't fucking use his ability, he would have died.
Bro. Now they're at our spawn as well.
What I hate about Genji is even if you attack him from behind, when he deflects, he still deflects. Yeah, it looked weird as well. She like weirdly right-clicked onto me.
How did that miss?
Damn, 4 gold. But I didn't do healing, even though it was a healer. Cringe. Oh, he got played the game because of me. The only reason why he got it is because I decided to go step on point for the overtime. Minecraft?
Fuck no.
No. More Overwatch. Oh, this guy. I would have gone play the game if I didn't step in to get overtime. Alright, lad. Alright, lad. Then I go back to plugging code. Character. Okay, now that is correct. And then this is correct. Okay. We can do character data equals and then account data dot get the character data with the player ID. Yep. If data is not equal to null, and that means we actually have the data. Also, I will put up some brown noise. Dun, 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 dun. Mind jungle integer. Oak, birch, spruce. Oak, birch, spruce, jungle. Mangrove and shroom. That's a lot of data. This is going to be a little bit more annoying. Because there's a lot. Okay, here we're just gonna have basic complex, which is what we call it, basic complex. And then obsidian. And then we actually have coal, copper, iron. Oof. Gold. Diamond. Emerald. Redstone. Lapis. That's a lot of data. Okay, we have basics, which are stone, netherrack, blah blah blah. Actually, maybe. Yeah, make it more readable. If you just call it nether, and then that's where the nether stuff is all in. Should where should glowstone be? Overworld? No, glowstone isn't in the overworld. No, but I mean for like the profession. I'm making a profession based plugin where absolutely everything is profession based. So to mine specific types of logs of wood, you need to have a specific level in lumbering and stuff like that. So I was thinking, in which profession? This has nothing to do with coding. Um, in which profession glowstone would be? Would it be part of mining or would it be in alchemy? See, it could be in alchemy. That's the thing. Ooh, redstone actually. Oh no, mining. You need mining to mine redstone, but engineering to craft specific redstone things. Oh yeah, so for engineering, you can start making like buttons, and then that upgrades your engineering level, and then redstone torches, and then you can start making the switches and the dispensers and all that stuff with engineering probably. My guy, if this dude is sleeping, I'm gonna be mad. Oof. Create combat. Would be like chicken, pig, sheep. Only the basic ones. We don't need rabbits or anything like that. Cow. And then like zombie, skeleton. Is there anything else? Chicken, pig, sheep, cow. Wait, maybe a rabbit is actually a mob that one would. Yeah, rabbit probably because rabbit hide. Don't they have a specific name? Passive, yeah, passive. Passive combat table. So this is specifically for passive. Like, I want to record any type of statistics I would be interested in looking at. Oh yeah, Villager. And Turtle. Okay, this one's more interesting. So we have zombie, skeleton, spider, creeper. Those are all the main overworld ones. Husks are zombies. Drowned are zombies. What else we have? We would have phantoms. We also have slime. Anything else in the overworld? I guess silverfish. Yeah, wait, we have Vindicator and Vex. Vindicator, Vex. We have the Witch. Oh goodness, I'm getting sick. Wait, zombie pigmen don't exist anymore, do they? Are zombie pigs a thing? Pillager. Yes. Ravager. Yeah. We have Blaze. We have Magma Cube. Magma Slime. Or just Magma will probably do. Piglin. And Hoglin. And with a skeleton. Enderman and Endermite. Almost forgot about those. Oh, and Ghast. Bosses we will count as our own, which will be the oh wait, passive. We forgot Iron Golem. Because the Iron Golem still does exist. We have the Elder Guardian. I would consider the Warden as a boss. I would consider the Wither as a boss, and the Ender Dragon as a boss, personally. Yeah, like the Warden has way more health than the Elder Guardian and more health than the Wither, so I think it is fair if I call it a boss. It also does 45 damage on hard, where the Wither does 12. That's a lot of data. But it's necessary data. Let's run the server. And see if there's an error. And it seems to be fine. Let's check the database. And all the data is available in the database. Hip hip hooray. Ah, interesting. Will that happen to me again? Wait, is it the characters table that is glitching? Let's take a look. Okay, I can only stream for another 40 minutes and then I gotta do stuff, IRL stuff. So let's try to fix this one database issue that we have on Connect. Oh my gosh. Alright, what is the error? The error will occur again, and if I can see any changes or broken things in the database, then I know exactly what's up. No, it was my fault. Okay, there's an error. Wow, what an amazing stack trace print. Oof. Okay, oh, new player joined, but I am not a new player. That is why. It's the event that's being called falsely. Okay, good. That makes it so much more obvious. And it's probably because get account doesn't get the account. Because account is null, then we say new player joined. Okay, that means that when we're getting account, that this check right here, it doesn't work because we need to dot equals instead. Okay. It's a big assumption, but that is a very common issue, is that awake is the one thing that you want to call equals, not awake, equals instead of just checking. It's a little different. It's very different. It's not just a little different. Mm-hmm. Desktop game start. See if that is fixed. And that is also the reason why, if we refresh the characters entry, new entries of myself are being made, even though there can only be one unique identifier. Which is actually great because that means that ID can only exist once and the database will not create that person again. Oh, okay, we got a different error. At least a different error. No such column, account name. Okay. Good to know. I misspelled somewhere. Okay, yeah, I misspelled. From account, I called it ID, not account name. This is the username, so that is that error. And then since it didn't give, since it broke, it didn't return correctly, and therefore it got a new, and then it screamed at us for the primary key again. So try it again. Let's write these changes into the database for now. Let's open up this. Open it up, open it up. Don't open it 50 times. And start the server. Okay, start it up. Reconnect. No errors, please. No errors! Just immediately joins. Welcome back. There we go. That is awesome. Alright, cool. Wait, now I want to see if this one bug is fixed as well. I just have to mine about 20 or 25 stones with a pickaxe. Oh, error. Cannot invoke because character data is null. Yes, well, of course it is null. Get account name. Ah. Because linked account is null and I can't get name. Okay. Okay, so this is called in the on break block event. On break block line 39 tries to get the character data UID to add experience to it. And the error that is being called is in level data. line 47, which would be here for the logger, because it's trying to get character data dot. Because the level data, the linked data, or the character data in this case, was never set. So set linked character data was never set for this specific entry. But it is being set. So it's saying that character data here is never set, even though we are setting the character data here when we are developing said. Even when it gets made here with get character data, it should also be developed immediately. Mining. I misspelled. Okay, so for lumber it should work. Oh gosh, we're underground. I believe we are more than... Oh, no, okay, we might find overground by just mining up. I mean, it only kinda sucks, but to be fair, I can just do that. Ah! It's nighttime! Let me in the hole! Dumbass! Dumbass! Let me in the stupid hole! Jesus. Oh, interesting. There's still water here. But there's no water here. What? Is that bugged or is it supposed to be like that? It's supposed to be like that. Oh no. It's a source block, that's why. Oh, shit. Oh, goodness, it's daytime. But the skeletons didn't run away. Okay. Let's see if this works. Since only there was a text error, which means it should be referenced. So I only need to mine a specific. Yes! Rear quartzy leveled up. Lumber to 2. Hell yeah. Okay, so that works. As you can see here, and I totally did not set it daytime. Except for that there is a little text mistake, which annoys me. So we're gonna go fix that. Oh, there. Yay! Okay, the next step is taking what we have, getting it all into the game, and saving it. Which means all of the combat and lumber recording that we just added. So all of the really annoying tables that are extremely freaking long. Create a class for them to record it. So similar to character data, we'll have character combat data. And then character lumber data and character mining data. Once that's down, getting and setting is done. Then we will update it in the, for example, the break and hit entity hit event, probably entity death event. And then we're going to save all of that data. And then once that is done, we can actually properly work on some professions. To be fair, we could probably do a modular system where every time you kill a mob, instead of me recording it that way, I could just say, okay, this mob goes to this table, and this mob goes to this table, and this mob goes to this table. And then just with the ID of the mob say, hey, does this entry already exist somewhere in that table? No, make a new row or column, whatever, and then add that, then go add onto it. That would probably be better than me creating all of these tables, but having them create themselves, so to speak, over time. Because if nobody kills a ender dragon or whatever, then there will never be an empty entry for that regardless. So, and then I can just create a hash map kind of dictionary system where every time you kill a mob, if it doesn't exist, it just adds it to the hash map. Otherwise, through its type or something, or we give it a toString as the ID, and then you can just grab it like that, the value. That would probably be the simplest way and best way to do it, actually. I'll think about it. Sounds pretty. That sounds pretty smart, actually. That sounds very smart. I should probably do that. Let's enjoy some Minecraft. Need some more wood. Oh, Bish punched me. Ah, interesting. When you switch tool, it automatically resets. Okay, that's awesome. I thought that was a mechanic I'd have to add separately. Oh gosh, that would have been so annoying. Yeah, and you can just go down real quick. Heck yeah. Sink, you dumbass! Sink, you dumbass! Sink, you dumbass! Jeez. So annoying. Gosh damn. Perfect. I have so many anyway. Yo, I got a grass block. The rarest block in the whole game. Nice. Water elevator! Whee! And if you want to go up, you can just water elevator up. Yay! Oh, heck yeah. That's Pog. Okay, let's fix that fucked error right here. Oh my god, stop. There we go. Okay, it's a little bit safer. Haha. Hmm. Aw, yeah. Oh, let's see. Is there any coal around? Well, I'm gonna drown. Yes. I feel safe in here. Oh, give me a second. Oh, there is an error. Oh, it's the getting thing for mining. Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. Okay. Has anyone returned? Hello? Aww. Oh. Well, what could I do? Uh, there we go. Jesus. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. The zombies are all over town. What's going on here? The zombies are taking over. Uh, gotta go fast before the queue starts. Oh, call to arms. Ah, I know what game this is. I can tell. I can immediately tell what lobby this is. It's a fresh lobby, that's what it is. Hee hee! No, they got rid of their cars! Why? Okay, this is my last game, by the way. Last game. I'm saying it right here, right now. Last game. Absolutely last game. And then I gotta go to dinner. And then tomorrow, I will probably not stream, because same thing, dinner. And it's gonna be more annoying. Or maybe I will. If I wake up early enough, I guess I can find some time. Alright, let's go. Let's wipe some people. Bum 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 ba ba bum. Bum 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 bum. Ba-da-ba-dum-ba-ba-bum-bum-bum. That's about 120 yards. Okay. Player render distance 120 yards. Or about 100 yards. Woo! Oh, I can 1v1 that guy. No! Stop running! Come in, fight! Oh, I missed that game. The game was Pog. Okay. Yeah, I think they're not coming to take, so I think we're good. No, she parried! Oh, Jesus. If she, if she didn't parry, that wouldn't have been close at all. Oh my god, that parry. Oh, that parry terrified the shit out of me. Holy. Oh my god. I was like, oh yeah, nah, she's dead. She's dead. Go bear form, stun her, go cat form, get that 5-second maim, and then just shred her. Oh goodness. Hmm. That guy's not fairy fired. Oh, he's under attack though. Woo! One more hit, melee? Nice, well done. Well, we kept this sooner. Interesting. Well, they're gonna get in like 2 seconds now anyway. Yeah, they're 20 seconds behind us, so. As long as they can defend for 20 seconds, we should be fine. Might be a rogue, but we need to cancel their respawn. I do have bark skin. Okay, no, not needed. Awesome. To be fair, smart move there would be you always assume no one defends it because the guards come back anyway. You don't cap. You don't kill the capper. You just wait till he caps it and then you cap it back. Because he'll either leave or the guards come back and then you have way easier time to kill. I got one more game in me before I gotta race. What is Call to Arms? Does it just mean more honor? Nope. Same amount. We had what, 5,000? Oh. Okay, maybe we did get a little bit. Maybe a small raise, you know? A small loan of $1 million. Trying to think of how much we need. I think 650. So after this game, definitely, even if we lose, should have plenty. Shoo! I'll beat this guy once I get boots and belt. Yeah, I think I'm going, what was it, Dragonhide? Yeah, I'm going Dragonhide on everything. There's absolutely no need for me to not get Intellect, because Intellect is extremely helpful with those Swift casts. It's insane. Those insta-cast Swiftmans, Healing Touch, is mental. Oh shit, where did my ability go? That's a lot of shadow resistance though. Aww. Maybe I should defend actually. Oh, there are plenty of people going to defend. I'll defend a tower. Or I'll go graveyard. Maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll get Frostwolf graveyard. Aw, I thought I could make it. Okay, we're skipping boss. And I can't go stealth, so we're going for one of the towers in their spawn. Nice, I didn't get hit that often. It's not bad. And they're dead. Nice try on that defense though. Okay, we're not gonna go sideways. We're gonna go through the building for the reason arrows will not start hitting me in the corner, but they will hit me now. And we're going this side because it's faster and safer. The second we're out, we're gonna go bear form. And we're gonna cap. I thought I saw someone go up here. Now I'm a little bit skeptical. Oh, it was him. There's a guy that wanted to cap that, I swear. If there's a rogue here, I'm losing the 1v1. I'm almost guaranteed to lose it. The least I can do was just delay him. There's nothing I can do otherwise. Oh, he's won! Level. I'm on the next. Come on, this game is taking too long already. It's been 11 minutes. I got plans. I gotta go soon. Finish the stupid game. I'm running out of time here. Sheesh. Mm, 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 mm. Are you good, bro? I think he's stuck. My guy got stuck. Why me? I can't even swipe him! Jesus. Ah. Oh goodness, that's a lot of damage. How long is this game? I don't want to leave. I want the points, but it's getting late. Oh, yeah. They respawn in the front. We respawn. Perfect, perfect. We can push so hard right now. Even though they got all the towers, which means they win. But otherwise, still good game. We could just 3-tower if everybody goes south pretty easily. I heard Minecraft noises. No!
It's too far away.
Fuck. I want to get the hug achievement. I need to do a macro. Shift E / hug. Kill someone immediately, Shift E. Wow, we're gonna lose that tower again? Great. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, finally we lost. That only took like 5 years. What? Alright. Okay, glove. No, wait. Belt, 1410. That's 24. How much attack power would that be? No idea. 25. So this is 25 attack power. Oh god, that's like 46. Or how 28 plus 46. Yeah, 46 versus 12 plus 13, 25. Okay, boots would be better to replace in general. Even though they have more stats, their stats are not necessarily better. You know what I'm saying? Even though this one does have hit rating. I don't know. Whatever the thing says is better, I'll just pick. Oh, don't be 950. No, it was 7.6. Which one would be better? This one? That's a big ass fucking spider on my wall. Holy shit, that thing is huge. Wait, it's like fucking awesome. I've been. Where the fuck is it migrating to? Dude, that spider is mentally big. Okay. 210, 239. Okay. My guy just made a fucking spider web. Are you kidding me? Alright, lads. I am signing out. Oh, Pog, new potion. Pog, bread. Shitty meta potion. Something to. Clout! I love clout. Give me clout. Die, bitch.
Alrighty then. Well met.
What about the trinket? I got one, I think. Yeah. What about trinket? Trinket. Trinkette. Why is this so much better than improve haste 60, improve haste 40? Wait, is there a better thingy one then? Okay, so this is your base trinket regardless. And I guess these are your special trinkets. Oh, they all literally just give you max HP. Oh, they all have a different stat using either critical strike, haste, or attack power. Probably would go for attack power. But I probably would like to have a shard, because shard is Pog. Yeah, maybe I should have gone for the rogue set, you know? The gladiator dragon hide. It's just a little bit worse. It's not a lot worse. Wait, the weapons are this fucking cheap? Holy. Macaroon. Damn. Kodo hide. Where's dragon hide? It's like half. It costs half. Makes sense. Alright, goodbye, lads.